Wide receiver Tank Dell of the Houston Texans suffered a lower body injury today that was significant enough for him to be carted off of the field. At the time, there was some speculation as to what was going on with that injury. It looks like sources have confirmed to ESPN that he's dealing with a fractured fibula and currently projected to miss the remainder of the season. There are several different types of fibula fractures, so we'll go over that today, as well as the applicable anatomy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Nick Gallo and I'm a doctor of physical therapy. With my channel, I take a look at sports injuries and I explain them so that they're a little bit easier to understand. I also go over the relevant anatomy for that injury, as well as what that person should expect when in rehab. If you like this sort of content and you want to see more of it, please hit that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, because I will be making more of these in the future regarding sports injuries, rehabilitation, and other physical therapy related content. Also, if you yourself have any experience with a fibula fracture, go ahead and please comment in the section below. Now we can see here on the injury replay that as Dell is run blocking, the pile seems to roll up onto that left leg and he goes down in a lot of pain. Here I've got a model of the lower leg, and so the lower leg has two bones that are going to come down and form the top portion of the ankle. The first one is that shin bone, also known as the tibia, that's going to come down and form that medial malleolus of the ankle. Then as we flip laterally or towards the outside portion here, we have a very thin bone known as the fibula that's going to come down and form the outside portion of the ankle known as the lateral malleolus. These two bones are also going to come up and come to the bottom portion of the knee joint here. This one, once again, being that tibia, also known as the shin bone, much thicker than the fibula, but that's going to come up and form the bottom of the knee. Then as we flip once again laterally here, we have that very thin fibula bone, and that's going to come up towards the lateral or outside portion of the knee. Anytime a contact athlete is going to get a direct trauma coming from the outside, coming in like that to the lower leg, they are definitely at risk for a fibular fracture. They can also be at risk for a tibia fracture. A lot of times we see these go hand in hand where they're coming simultaneously. This is also known as a tib-fib fracture. We saw this last weekend with Zach Zinter of Michigan. However, in this case, we know that it's just an isolated fibula fracture. And as you look at the model, you can see why. The fibula bone is significantly thinner compared to the tibia. And so that means that any sort of force coming from the outside in is directly going to impact that very thin bone there. You can also have these isolated fibula fractures in things such as falls and motor vehicle accidents, as well as any position that's going to put that foot in extreme rotational ranges of motion. It's hard to tell on this video because we don't get a direct visualization of his foot. However, if that foot is going in excessive eversion here, you can see that that's going to place a lot of compression going through that fibula. Now, I don't know if that's exactly what caused it or if it was the direct blow to the shaft of the fibula. However, it's just important to say that anytime you're getting any sort of excessive rotational components going through the foot, this can also put a person at risk for one of these fractures. Now, these fractures can be classified as either proximal or distal. We'll go over that briefly. So anytime they're saying a proximal fibular fracture, this means that it's going to be closer to the body. So you expect it to be closer to the knee here. And anytime they call it a distal fibular fracture, this means it's going to be further away from the body, so more so closer to the ankle. There's another important classification that can determine a person's recovery time frame too, and this is whether the fracture is going to be non-displaced or displaced. In a non-displaced fracture, obviously you're getting fracturing of the bone, however, the bone is still in great alignment and usually does not require surgery. And of course, anytime we get a displaced fracture, this means that the bone is not in an optimal alignment and usually requires surgery, whether that includes plates or screws to essentially stabilize the bone so that it heals properly. As of right now, we don't know specifically what the fracture is classified as. We do know that it's a fibula fracture and he's projected to miss the remainder of the season. And this is what we would see with somebody in the clinic that comes to us for a fibular fracture, unfortunately. If we get somebody that comes to the clinic with a fibular fracture, obviously they're going to have weight-bearing precautions because it takes about 6 weeks for the fibula to heal. From the 6 to 8 week mark, this is when we will reintroduce weight-bearing. Usually they'll start off as partial weight-bearing, whether it be 25% or 50%, moving all the way on to full weight-bearing. And then after the 8 week mark, this is when they are weight-bearing as tolerated. So they're not going to use an assistive device and we can start to push them a little bit more in PT. From the 12 to 16 week mark, this is when the person is going to progress to jogging, and then finally they can return to sport after that. And this is if they don't have surgery. So obviously if surgery is indicated, this is going to prolong the recovery time. So as of right now, unfortunately, it looks like he is accurate to miss the remainder of the season. But once again, if I happen to hear any updates, I'll be sure to update everybody in the comment section. So we wish Tank Dell the best of luck moving forward with his recovery and rehab. Unfortunately, it is a fracture and he's due to miss the remainder of the year. However, it could have been worse in that the tibia could have been involved in well, which makes things a lot more complicated. Thank you so much for watching my video today. If you enjoy this sort of content, I'm going to link another one of my playlists so that you can watch some of the videos that I've explained in the past. Thank you once again for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.